We seriously need to talk about what went down on Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 10. I'm shook. I need a pacemaker, okay? But before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Love is Blind and pop culture videos, and like this video for more like it in your algorithm. Now, right off the bat, Jimmy and Chelsea, they get into this major dispute that has me like reeling, rocking on my chair, like what is going on? Why are they always fighting about nothing? But before that happened, we started off the episode with Jeremy heading to the park with his mother to gaslight and downplay his trifling activities with Sarah Ann at 5 o'clock in the morning behind his fiancee Laura's back. I am so glad that his mom called him out on his SHIT. Like, she must be used to this like total douchebag son of hers, always, doing dirt behind women's back and then, trying to make himself out to be the victim. Like, I'm sorry, Jeremy is such a loser. And you're going to see more of it in episode 11. Meanwhile, Jimmy and his family meet Chelsea at a barbecue restaurant, which had me craving barbecue. I don't remember the last time I had barbecue. It's got to be at least like 4 years or something like that. And I have to find a restaurant for that. They talk very nicely about their relationship. It was a stark contrast to the way Jeremy and Laura acted in front of her family, right? And I'm starting to see that there really is love there between Jimmy and Chelsea. Jimmy's family seems so simple, nice, positive. I know he had a lot of anxieties about them and feeling judged because of them or something like that in his past, but they seem like rather lovely people. Meanwhile, AD prepares her mom to meet Clay, and we find out that she hasn't even seen Clay since the day before because he's been working so much. And the saddest part about this is that AD had actually planned a really romantic night for her and Clay at home. She had like printed out X amount of reasons why she loves him. She had all this chocolate and stuff ready for him, and he didn't come home that night. I'm sorry. I know the man works a lot, but he also worries a lot about cheating. So maybe he accidentally caved into his intrusive thoughts about cheating and did something. So Clay finally shows up and he immediately tells AD's mom that he feels like he was destined to meet and be with AD. And then he also tells her mom that he is traumatized by his parents' relationship. And she cuts him off and says, listen, don't worry about your parents' relationship. That is their relationship. It was 24 years. It couldn't have all been bad, but like at the end of the day, that's for them to worry about. And you just worry about yourself and like your future, not so much the past. And I'm like so happy that finally somebody told him that, because that's all he constantly talks about. He's like a broken record with it. And I really sincerely mean this. It's not in a derogatory way, but I do hope that Clay seeks therapy for this, because this obviously is something that weighs very heavily on him and he's very traumatized by, which is fair. Anybody would be by this situation. So I do think that a mental health professional would be the perfect avenue for him to unpack that and find ways to move forward from it. AD's mom seems very sold on Clay, which was kind of concerning to me. I'm kind of like doubting her discernment skills just based on how easy it was for Clay to charm her and how much she downplayed all that cheating in his parents' marriage as well. Anyhow, it's time for Johnny to also meet Amy's family. This time it's just her dad who meets up with them in the middle of a forest for some kind of bench picnic. And listen, it was a very sweet meeting. Amy's dad is as adorable as you would imagine. He tells some stories about her just being a lovely person, like, from childhood and whatnot. And then Johnny actually goes ahead and asks her dad for his blessing to marry Amy. And at that point, I was like, yes, I already knew before them that they were going to get married down the line. But at this point, I'm like, oh, they're going to get married. Because up until now, I've always been like, listen, even if they get married, do I see them actually lasting long? Not sure. I'm not seeing like the crazy sparks. I'm seeing a nice, complicity between them, but I'm not seeing like passion burning, but maybe that's for the better. Maybe the passion and the burning is what dies out quickly. I'm not sure, but now I'm seeing, oh, there's something deep here. Meanwhile, with Jimmy and Chelsea, this is where they had me shook. I was like, Jimmy did what? Who? When? How many times? Because there's a new argument between he and Chelsea. So this time, apparently the night before, Jimmy had left to go out after filming to hang out with a friend or his friends without asking Chelsea to join along, which is weird, right? You guys are engaged. Your relationship is very short. You're planning a wedding. Like, you're supposed to try to integrate each other into each other's lives as much as possible. So why would he go out without asking her? And then why would he gaslight her about it? Because she confronts him about it. And he goes, oh, I asked you. She's like, no, you didn't. He's like, okay, fine. But I knew you'd be tired. So it's like, okay, well, then why did you lie? This is the thing about the men on the show. They are constantly gaslighting the women, and I'm getting so sick of it. And I am especially riled up right now, you guys, because guess what happens in episode 11? Obviously, I can't tell you right now, but it gets bad. Like, sickeningly bad with Jeremy. Like, if you guys have ever been gaslit by a piece of man, you will be so triggered and ready to rip out his eyeballs with your pinky nails, you know? So I'm really triggered by this right now. So I just don't like it. Tell the truth, you freaking losers. So anyway, it turns out that Jimmy went out. It was only for a short amount of time, but the girls from the pods had texted Chelsea, like, Chelsea, what's your man doing out here without you? This looks weird, girl. And apparently he was with women. So obviously, being pissed, Chelsea tells Jimmy that she doesn't want to be out with a man of the night who's always thotting and bopping around the city with random women without her. And I gotta ask, why does Chelsea always do that whiny voice? She's always like, I don't want to meet with someone. And then she always has this going down with, you know, like, a mouth that's like this. But Chelsea's, I think it's the way she does her makeup, down. She's always like, yeah, I was out there with like other women and I don't like it. I don't want to be with a man who's out with I don't want it. I don't like it. Like, she speaks like this and it's so annoying. And it's only when she's in arguments or something where she's trying to be cutesy and it's like, my ears are bleeding. But here's the thing. Is it cool that Jimmy went out there at night and didn't invite her? No. But it turns out that he was only out for like 2, maybe 3 hours max. So like, I'm kind of like, okay, well, he wasn't out too long. But at the same time, I'm thinking, this is what you get for trying to be the cool girl and saying that you're down with him having female friends because you're obviously not cool with it. Because it is weird for your fiance to be out there grabbing drinks with a random woman. Yeah, that's his friend. But still, he's out there with her and not you, and he didn't invite you to come along. I don't like the optics. It makes you seem like you're the side chick, and that's his woman, and it's just weird. So I really do think that that is the root of their problems, and I'm happy that Chelsea finally speaks out about it, but she should have said it from the beginning that, listen, these girls seem nice and everything, but I'm gonna need you to take a little bit of space now that we're in a relationship. I want to always be there, you know, when you are with these girls, or someone else has to be there, never one-on-one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't look good. And then she accuses Jimmy of always being with one of the girls, like, you know, more than the other, just always this one girl. And he's always texting her. When Chelsea's out of town, he's hanging out with her one-on-one. Oh, all of this just sounds so inappropriate. And so Jimmy, he walks away. He's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Obviously, he's feeling the heat because this is true. So he walks off to brush his teeth, saying that he's not going to take a step back from his female friendships. Why are you so defensive, Jimmy? These are just friends. Why are you so defensive? It's not looking too good. So Chelsea decides to get on up and confront him in the bathroom while he brushes his teeth. And she says, you know what? You effed one of those girls. I know you did. Blah, blah, blah. You told me off camera. Like, Jimmy was shocked that she said it on camera because it was something that he admitted to off camera. He didn't want it to be on TV or anything like that. Now the girl's face is plastered everywhere and we know you hooked up with her. It's just so like weird, you know, like not the fact that he hooked up with a friend. I do think that that typically happens in these mixed friendships, which is why I'm not into them. And so, yeah, he was just really taken aback by that. And he's like, it was just one time. You know, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that I know that the attraction is there to the point where you guys can pull out a peen and toot out a coochie and make them connect, it's too much for me to process, okay? Like, no, absolutely not. And then guess what? Chelsea also claims that Jessica from the pods was at that same bar that night. And I'm like, oh God, not another Jeremy, Sarah Ann situation. Don't tell me they went to the parking lot. Yeah, he's like, you know what? At this point, I don't believe anything you're saying. I think you're fishing. You're trying to like trick me or something because that's not true. Jessica was not there. I did not see her. And this other girl you're claiming saw me. I don't even know what the hell she looks like. So I don't even know if that's true either. So that's where I believe him. I'm like, you know what, Jeremy, I think you're telling the truth then, because it's like, you know that Jessica and Chelsea are friends. So why did Mackenzie or whatever this other girl is tell Chelsea supposedly that Jessica was there and not Jessica herself. They speak, and then I think he was telling the truth about not knowing who Mackenzie really was or anything like that. So anyway, Chelsea starts crying with no tears per usual, and she keeps telling him, I don't want to be with somebody who goes out all the time, whatever. Listen, girl, you're totally right, but like, please learn how to argue and how to be sad without just being so annoying. So he tells her that he's willing to work through things, but if she doesn't want to be with him anymore, she can just leave, because she keeps saying, I don't want to be with someone like this. I don't want to be with someone like this. He's like, all right, well, if you've made up your mind about that, then you can bounce. You can go. You can leave. And she says that she doesn't think that he loves her, basically, because he's like, do you think I love you? No, I'm not sure. And so he's like, oh, I bet then it's over. He dumps her. And at this point, I'm like, oh my God, not another breakup this season, not another flop season, because guess what? Kenny and Brittany already broke up. Then we know that Jeremy and Laura are breaking up too because of the cheating. And now we've got Chelsea and Jimmy. What does that leave us with? Just two couples, AD and Clay, and Amy and Johnny. By the way, that's a lot of people to get engaged in this season, right? 5 couples. So, wow, I was really like just shocked at this point. Not surprised, because I do think that this couple is incompatible, but I was shocked that they were going to break up here. I really did think that they were going to wait until the altar. And at this point though, I'm rooting for Chelsea. I'm like, good for you, Chelsea. Don't stand for that nonsense. If this crosses your boundaries of what you're willing to accept in a relationship, you're uncomfortable, then just bounce. Like, that's fine. But then immediately she goes groveling over to Jimmy. She's like, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. He's like, you pushed my boundaries. I'm leaving. So he leaves, and he goes to sit down on the couch to unwind. And at this point, I'm just like reeling in shock that all of these couples are dropping like flies already. Anyway, back to more positive news, or is it? Clay and AD start talking about their wedding a little bit more, the color palette and whatnot. And as usual, Clay is battling his intrusive thoughts about cheating. Cheating is always the only thing that is on this man's mind. How are you doing? Not so good. Honestly, I'm resisting the urge to cheat. What about you? Like, oh, Clay, I see you cut your finger. Yeah, it's because I was so distracted thinking about cheating. Like, that's all that's on this man's mind, and it's kind of alarming. So he says that watching how ready some of the men have been to get married on previous seasons of Love is Blind makes him feel a bit embarrassed about all the stuff that he's struggling with internally. And I'm like, AD, that is a warning that this man is not ready. He's not ready, and he's gonna cheat on your ass. Like, what are you still doing here? I do have a feeling though that AD is gonna say no at the altar. I think she's just kind of like biding her time here at this point. And so now at this point, Clay, he's continuing in his panic. The panic is rising, and he's now asking why it's so important to get married on this particular date. Oh no, Clay, you are not about to make a forever fiance out of AD. She says, oh, you know what? You can go ahead and say no if you're not ready on that date, Clay. But FYI, I will not continue dating you. I am not going to be a lifelong fiance. And I said, yes, girl, know your worth. And so at this point, he's like, oh my God, well, it's not that. Like, it's just that I don't know how to lead in a relationship. I don't have the confidence to say that I'm going to be a good husband. Like, all this stuff where you're, again, like, AD, this man, he's not it. And I do think that she knows that. But listen, they've got to ride it out. I think they get paid per day on this show and stuff too. So let's get our coin while we put up with this nonsense. And listen, he might be slanging some good D as well. So you might as well continue to enjoy that for a little bit. I don't know. So here's the thing though, you guys. I do think that Clay is in love with AD, like he says, because he's a very authentic person, in my opinion. And, authentic to the point that he's also being authentic about the fact that he's not capable of being monogamous and that he's not ready for marriage, So to me, like, if he's ready to say all this stuff, put these cards on the table, he's also being serious and authentic when he tells AD that he loves her. Now it is the next day at Chelsea and Jimmy's home, and you see Chelsea come back to the home, and they talk about how she went to stay at her own apartment the other night. Jimmy tells her that he was positive that he was going to say yes at the altar, but now after this major fight, he doesn't really trust her judgment anymore because she says that she doesn't think that he loves her. And he also says that he took a long, 5-mile walk and really thought about how much he wanted to show Chelsea his love for her and everything like that. So what she said really just broke his heart and showed him that he doesn't want to marry her anymore. So I'm like, oh wow, this breakup truly is legit. Like they're not going to make up or anything like that, even though Chelsea seems to want to. Now, she does want to confirm. She's like, okay, well, I just want to make sure, like, are you saying no to getting married? And he's like, yeah, that's what I just said. And then at this point, she's groveling, like, for real again. And she's like, no, I just want to make it work. I don't want you to just leave because it's hard. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I said the wrong thing, blah, blah. But, like, I do want to be with you. So I'm like, oh, God, are we going to get trapped back into this cycle of toxicity? Chelsea, you were 100% right about his inappropriate relationships with his female friends. Okay, it's weird. If he's not willing to pull back from that stuff to be with you, he's not true about his love for you. I'm gonna keep it real. He should be willing to impose boundaries on those relationships because it's just not appropriate in my opinion. So now all of a sudden, Chelsea is telling Jimmy that she felt more in love with him yesterday while they were fighting, basically, because that's what they were doing yesterday aside from meeting his family, than ever before. I'm like, girl, stop. You have abandonment issues. That's what it is. That's why you're so excited now, because like the threat of abandon is here. So listen, I guess that Jimmy really does love Chelsea though, because he actually decides to step back on this roller coaster ride again. And I'm like, all right, dude, all right. Like, this is just crazy, but go for it if that's what you feel like doing with your time. The next day, all the couples get together at the lake house just to like hang out again as they continue on this process. And I noticed that Laura comes to the lake house without Jeremy, which is great because obviously she's not feeling that guy. And she is talking to the girls privately and she just rails into Jeremy and Sarah Ann and their trifling behavior. Listen, as she should. They deserved every single word of it. They are both disgusting, disloyal, selfish, thirsty people. Okay. So Jeremy, he does come later, speak of the devil, and he plays the victim in a private conversation with Jimmy. He's like, oh my God, like Laura talked to me. She was so unkind the way she spoke to me. She was so mean. I wanted to send her flowers, but she wouldn't accept my cheating flowers. Like, now I'm the victim. Like, this guy is so evil. He's evil. I literally despise this guy. Like, he's so sick in the head, okay? And he's like, I don't want to be with someone who would talk to me like that. Talk to you like what? Like hold you accountable for cheating? How do you think a woman is going to talk to you when you cheat on her and you gaslight her and you lie to her? He told her he was in one place. It wasn't true. He was in another place. This man is a pathological liar. Okay, he needs a lobotomy. He's sick. He really, really is. And like, he's just, oh God, I hate everything about him for real. And so Jimmy was smart to kind of stay out of it. He's like, listen, you're a very stubborn person yourself. So I don't really want to get involved, which good for you. Like, don't fall for this guy's BS. You could tell that Jimmy sees right through him. He knows that Jeremy is not a good person. And then Jeremy then tells Jimmy that he doesn't see a reason to fight for this relationship. Dude, like, neither does Laura, you F-boy. What is there to fight for? Why would she fight to be with you? A dirty dog, lying cheater. Why would she? Like, what are you talking about? You don't see anything to fight for. Like, are you well in the head? Anyway, here comes another lying cheater, Trevor. He pops up, and Chelsea, she seems, rather nervous to actually talk to him. We don't get to see them interact in this episode. It happens the next one. But she says that he is totally her type. And so I start getting a little nervous, y'all. But again, that is something we're going to have to explore in Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 11. So make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my recap on that. Like this video so that it pops up in your algorithm, because even if you do subscribe, sometimes these videos have a hard time popping up. So they need you to interact and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the meantime. Bye now.